The fact is that we started that petition, I think, in July. It was the first time, I think, and I think most of us in the world of politics would have seen that as well. It was the first time that a politician was taken out of his position, and then suddenly there was an upsurge of demand for him to be brought back. In July already, within a few days of us having set up the Bring Back Boris petition, we had 2,000 to 3,000 or 4,000 people within days, and eventually, within the space of about 6 or 7 weeks, we got nearly 20,000 signatories. And so there's a big disconnect between what people in London, in the commentariat, and in Parliament think about Boris, and what people in the country think of Boris. And I think that the bottom line is that a lot of people felt, in particular in places like Wakefield, that they were taking our Boris out. In other words, they feel personally invested in Boris. They like the character. And a lot of people in London do not like the fact that Boris is liked personally. That's the interesting detachment. And I think a lot of people will say, well, actually, the Tory party has nothing other than Boris to go on at the moment. Rishi would be a disaster, very similar than Liz for the same reasons. He doesn't have any legitimacy.
Alex, I mean, is there a danger that we're sort of rewriting history and looking back with some kind of misguided nostalgia about the time when Boris was in office? I mean, if we think back about why he ended, we had the Owen Paterson affair, we lost the North Shropshire by-election, which was one of the safest Tory seats in the country. We lost the Tiverton and Honiton by-election, which was another one of the safest seats in the country. We had the Chris Pincher episode. We had ministers resigning. We had a reference to the Privileges Committee. We had the highest tax rates in history. We had the nanny state running riot. I mean, what was it about that period in office that you're looking back so fondly about?
Well, none of it. I personally didn't think that Boris was a great prime minister, but that's not the point. The point is that there is legitimacy attached to his office, and that legitimacy comes through the ballot box. A lot of people and pedants usually say, oh, Britain is a parliamentary democracy, therefore we don't vote for the character, we vote for the party. Well, that's partially right, but there are two things about this. The first thing is that there was an enormous amount of popular support for him as an individual, and secondly, he won the vote of no confidence. In other words, he wasn't kicked out because he lost the confidence of the House or of his parliamentary party. He was kicked out by a small group of angry MPs. He is the prime minister because he was elected to that position with 14 million votes, whether you like the fact that the policies are right or wrong, and whether you're Labour, Lib Dem or Conservative, you need to respect the ballot box, because if you don't do that, you lose legitimacy.
Alex, you raised